Welcome to The Thought Card, a podcast about travel and money, where planning, saving, and creativity leads to affording travel, building wealth, and paying off debt. We are the Financially Savvy Travelers. Hey, Financially Savvy Travelers, welcome back to another episode of the Thought Card podcast. I am, as always, super excited that you joined me for another year. We've been rocking and rolling since September 2018, and I cannot believe that it's been over 2 years of us talking all about travel and money together on the show. Now, we are so close to 50,000 podcast downloads, and this is really important to me because I take frequent breaks to go travel. So sometimes I take 2 months break in the winter. I take the entire summer off from podcasting. I started my podcast in my closet. So the fact that we've grown our audience so much over the past 2 years is so incredible to me. And it's not something that I take for granted or I take lightly. So I definitely think by February, we'll definitely be hitting that 50,000 podcast downloads mark. And I'm super thrilled about that. Now, shout out to my top 10 countries who are listening to this podcast, including the United States. That's where I'm based. I'm based in Connecticut. Also Canada, the UK, Australia. You guys are strong out in Australia. India. Wow. India. We've grown our Indian audience over the last year, a couple months actually. So that's super, super exciting. And I would love to come visit in India. France, Ireland, Germany, South Africa. My South African audience has been really growing over the last couple of months. And number 10 is the Netherlands. So thank you, everyone. I mean, we have an international, worldwide audience, and I'm super thrilled to be really sharing and be on this journey together with you. So thank you again for listening to the show, and thank you for sharing the show with your friends and your family, and just letting this organically grow. So this episode, we're going to be really wrapping up 2020. I'm going to be sharing some of my high level highlights, some of the things that happened this year or last year. And also I'm going to be letting you know that I'm taking a seasonal break. So I will be taking a break and I'll be back with new episodes April 1st, 2021. So let's get started. So first thing, you may have heard in a couple episodes, I alluded to this, but I got married in September of 2020. So I am officially a happily married woman, which was so exciting. Our wedding day was honestly the most beautiful day of my life. It's one of those days that I will never forget. We had a very small, intimate wedding with 40 guests. And trust me, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we would have had over 100 people. Kyle and my family, we both have really large families, but because of the pandemic, it was even risky for us to get married and have guests, but we really, really wanted to share this special experience and moment with our family. So we kept it small, and it was the best. And I definitely want to, create an episode all about how I saved a ton of money on my wedding, and also how really not to fall into those traps that you need to have like certain things in your wedding, because we didn't. We had a very small, intimate backyard wedding. It was a wedding. Like, it's so funny. Kyle and I had thoughts of, we're just going to go to the courthouse and just do something really tiny until I fit in that wedding dress. I found a wedding dress that I fell in love with. And then it became a real wedding, like with a church, and we had a backyard reception. We had bartenders. I played DJ. It was such a great time. So I will definitely be recording an episode in the next season all about our wedding and some of the ways that we were able to still have an amazing time while saving a lot of money. All right. So in 2020, number 2, I also wrote a ton of books. So I am now, as I'm recording this, I am a 5-time author. So I've written a total of 5 books. But most notably in 2020, I wrote the book Traveling with a Full-Time Job. I also wrote Managing Your Money as a New Homeowner and Planning Local Trips During a Pandemic. So I'm going to leave the link in the show notes where you can check out all 5 of my books. How I like to write is I like to write for really helping my readers solve a particular problem. So Managing Your Money as a New Homeowner really shares all the lessons that I've learned. Being a new homeowner, I mean, it was a mess. It was really hard, but I put together all the things that I've learned over my 3 years of home ownership. Traveling with a Full-Time Job really explains and details how to really manage your time so that you can go off and travel the world. So I'm really excited about all of my books. My books are typically short reads that you can read within an hour and a half to 3 hours. I really want you to get quick wins. I really want you to think outside of the box and be creative. So it's a thoughtful book. All my books are really thoughtful in that approach. And yeah, I would love for you to check those books out. And anything that you purchase from me or any way that you support me, either leaving reviews for the show or buying my products, that's all helping to keep the doors open and keep the lights on and allowing me to continuously create amazing content for you all. So thank you for all those who have read my books, who've reached out to me with their thoughts and comments and feedback. And I'm really, really appreciative of that. So in terms of book writing for 2021, I definitely am going to be writing more books in 2021. However, I'm going to be starting my writing process in April. So my first book I'm writing will be in April, and then I'll stagger it throughout the year. I typically like to write in the winter when it's cold and dreary and rainy. And I like to be out and about in the summer. So I don't like to be writing in the summer. So I definitely will try to pump out maybe 2 or 3 books in 2021 as well. Okay, so thirdly, I explored more of the Northeast. So I live in Connecticut, which is about 2 hours from New York City and 2 hours from Boston. So it's like right in the middle area. So I kind of have the best of both worlds there. And because of the pandemic, if it wasn't for the pandemic, we were definitely going to be traveling. We had goals of going to Spain. That was where I was supposed to get engaged and not in my kitchen. But, it is what it is. But what we did is that we really decided that even though, despite the pandemic, that we were going to take this opportunity to really travel domestically. And I still am on the fence about going on an airplane or using public transit, but we have done several road trips around New England. So we visited Vermont several times. We visited upstate New York once. So that is exactly how I came up with the book Planning Local Trips During a Pandemic, is because I did a lot of travels during the summer. So I really appreciated that. Like, despite not being able to travel internationally, it still felt really nice to just be able to explore my backyard. Like, there's a zoo that I live really close by, and I've never been there. And it's probably because I'm always traveling abroad and doing something or going somewhere. So it was really nice to stay still for a bit, and also explore my backyard and also explore the Northeast. So I think if things continue on the way they're going, I'll probably continue exploring the Northeast this summer as well in 2021. But of course, I'll let you guys know how that goes. Okay, so fourthly, I created a profitable membership for podcasters. So it's not something I talk about a lot on this podcast, but I am the founder of WOC Podcasters, also known as Women of Color Podcasters. And that Facebook community has grown to over 4,000 people from all over around the world, which is so crazy. So a little bit of a backstory. I started WOC Podcasters after I applied for an opportunity called Sound Up Bootcamp by Spotify. And that opportunity, they were looking for a woman of color who had a podcast idea. You didn't need to know how to podcast. All you needed was an idea, and they were going to go and train you for a week in New York City. And I applied. And one of the things that they had asked is, what would you like to see different in the podcasting space? So based off of my limited experience, like I looked at Apple Podcasts and I didn't really see many women of color or people of color on the top 100 podcast. I said, in that application that I thought that there was a need for a space for women of color to podcast. So long story short, I probably should do another episode just on that because it's a really interesting story. But that community, WC Podcasters, has grown to 4,000 members or people from all over the world, from 75 countries actually. And one of the things that I saw that was missing is that the learning component. After you've been podcasting for a while, like you're going to want to level up if you want to take it more seriously than a hobby. And I was really looking for resources, not Google. Like I didn't want to go to YouTube University or Google. I wanted to learn from the experts. I wanted to really be able to mastermind with people who are serious about podcasting. So with that being said, I launched in May a membership. And that membership has been holding steady with over 100 members. So that has been a business idea that has become profitable, which is really exciting. And the next season, I definitely want to have an episode where I talk about the income streams that I've built from home, because I think what's important when you're thinking about business and growing your income, especially as a solopreneur or entrepreneur or infopreneur, is really looking and identifying gaps in the market. And I definitely saw a gap in the market. Like, yes, I had a community, but there was not a learning component. Like, how are we learning? How are we growing? That was missing. So the membership, WC Podcasters Insiders membership, was born. All right. So I will definitely leave the link to the membership down below. And I absolutely will record a new episode in the next season all about income streams and how that membership has become a pillar of my side hustle and my side business. So number 5, in terms of things that I did this year, this one I'm really, really proud of is that with Aquania Escarnay, if you're listening to the show for a while, you know that I've launched a 12-part audio docuseries called Millennial Wealth Builders. And number 1, that was just amazing, just being able to launch a new series on both of our podcasts. So Aquania is the host of the Purpose of Money podcast. And of course, I'm the host of the Thought Card podcast. So we've come together, and every month we interview and highlight a woman of color who's building wealth creatively. Now, in terms of the audio docuseries, I was really inspired by The Social Dilemma on Netflix, actually, and just the way that it was shot. So think about documentary style audio. That is what the goal of Millennial Wealth Builders, like how we're trying to produce the show. And what's so funny is that I've never done this before. So this is like completely so new. Like I've done interviews for the past 2 years, but I've never created a documentary style podcast. So it's been super incredible, learning a lot to learn, but I've been having a lot of fun with that. So Millennial Wealth Builders, again, it highlights women of color building wealth. We have actually gotten 3 grants. So Millennial Wealth Builders is a 3-time grant funded podcast series, which is amazing. So we've gotten grants from the Plutus Foundation. We recently gotten a grant from iFund Women and Caress. And it's just so amazing. Like I never thought that we would be able to fund the production of our podcast just through, primarily through grant funding. And also a big shout out to the Black and Brown Podcast Collective for, that's 3 grants. So Plutus Foundation, the Caress Dreams to Reality Fund with Caress and iFund Women, and the Black and Brown Podcast Collective. So thank you to all of our grants funders who are like really supporting the show and want to see this series continue. So thank you so much. Okay, as I mentioned at the top of this episode, we are so close to reaching 50,000 podcast downloads. So if you haven't gone back into the archives, we have over 75 episodes in the archives. So definitely head back and listen to the episodes. We have topics all over from money and building wealth or investing. We have points and miles and travel and all the things. So it's been so fun and incredible. Like the podcast is definitely one of the things that is really, really near and dear to my heart. Okay. Another thing I think that was important in 2020 was investing in myself. So in the past, I have invested in myself through conferences. I wear various different hats. So not only am I a podcaster, but I'm also an author. I'm also a blogger. So I have all these creative ventures that I'm doing. So I would typically go to conferences. Now with 2020, in-person conferences and events wasn't a thing. And I actually did not attend that many conferences. However, I did invest in coaching programs. I invested in memberships. I invested in 8 week. Yeah, it was an 8-week program. So I did take investing in myself seriously. One of the things that I'm working on right now is that me and my entire family are really learning more about investing. So it's not only investing in myself as a creative, but also investing in my learning so that I can become, more financially independent. So I could learn how to spot different opportunities. So investing in myself has been so important. And it's definitely something that I want to continue to bring in 2021. All right. This is a fun one. And this is the second to last thing I wanted to share with you all, but I got into jump roping, which is, I don't know how it happened, but thanks to YouTube, here we are. So I'm an avid runner in the spring and summertime. If you follow me on my social media, on Instagram primarily, I actually have changed my Instagram handle from the Thought Card to the Danielle Desir. So that's a big change. But on Instagram, I typically show my running. I run usually like several times a week, long distance, 3+ miles. And with the winter, again, I live in the Northeast in the US. With the winter, it's cold and it's painful to be out there in the cold running. So I picked up jump roping instead. And I am so pleased with my results jumping rope. I jump rope about typically 20 minutes per day. Sometimes if I miss the day before, I may double up. So I may do 40 minutes of jump roping per day with 2 different exercises. So that has been phenomenal. I've definitely seen myself slimming down, especially in the tummy area. So I am all in with jump roping. I am having a hard time doing the double unders, some of those advanced level techniques, but I'm hoping Kyle, my husband, I know my husband, right? My husband will show me how to do that and I could perfect that. Last but not least, I just wanted to share that we're going to be back with new episodes of the podcast starting April 1st. Now, what are we going to be talking about in the new season? In the new season, we're going to be talking a lot about investing. So investing in not only stocks, but also in mutual funds and ETFs. So we're going to be deep diving and talking all things investing. I definitely want to make sure that not only are we saving money, but we're also building wealth, and investing is one of the best ways that we can do that. So we're going to be talking a lot about investing. If you or anyone you know of, maybe you have someone that you admire, who would be a good guest for the show to talk about any type of investing, please definitely reach out to me or hit me up on Instagram. Again, I'm at the Danielle Desir, or you could email me at thethoughtcard@gmail.com and let's get something scheduled and on the books. I would love to talk to you all about investing. So that's part one. That's the money part. Now, in terms of the travel part, we're going to be talking more about points and miles. One of the things in the series that I want to create for the show is my road to 1 million miles. So this is actually inspired by Lizette Austin. Lizette was actually a guest on episode number 59, where she talked all about how she has saved over $110,000 in travel cost by accruing points and miles. And one of her accomplishments is that she has surpassed 1 million miles so many times. So I am on the journey, and I'm so inspired by Lizette that I am going to be documenting my journey to 1 million miles in the bank. So stay tuned for that. I will definitely be keeping you guys updated. I'm close to 500,000 right now. So when I say 1 million points of miles, that means like I want to have it sitting somewhere. Not like I've spent 1 million miles, but no, I want to have my like account at 1 million miles. So I think that'll be just really fun and cool just to talk about the different credit cards that I'm opening up, how I'm spending and how I'm being strategic about the cards I'm using when I'm spending. So yeah, so we're going to be talking about investing, and we're also going to be talking about that road to 1 million in on the podcast. So I'm super excited and thrilled. I know 2020 has been challenging, not only like politically, socially, economically, health-wise. It was crazy. It was a crazy year. But for me and how I think about everything is I'm always trying to find the positive, always trying to find new opportunities to grow and to build. And I think I'm really happy with how things went for me in 2020. And I'm bringing a whole new exciting energy into 2021. So again, thank you all for listening to the Thought Card podcast. We are going to be back with new episodes April 1st. So definitely be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, we're going to still have our monthly episode of the Millennial Wealth Builders on the 1st of every month. So that will continue to be rocking and rolling, even though I'll be taking a break from producing episodes of the podcast. Again, if you have any questions, you want to see someone on the show, or you want to be a guest on the show, either to talk about points and miles or to talk about investing, I would love to have you. I would love to chat with you. Let's get it started. thethoughtcard@gmail.com is the best way to reach out to me. My new handle for Instagram is the Danielle Desir. My new handle for Facebook is the Danielle Desir. And Twitter is still the Thought Cards. Those are the ways that you can connect with me. Last but certainly not least, if you have enjoyed the Thought Card podcast, if you get value from the podcast or from the blog or from me on social media, anywhere, if you're getting value, I would be so appreciative if you bought me a cup of coffee. So head over to the show notes to catch all the links that I mentioned in this episode. And also you'll see a link there where you can buy me a cup of coffee. I prefer hot lattes, pumpkin spice latte. So your support really means a lot to me. And again, it keeps me producing content, keeps me finding amazing guests, and keeping the quality of the show super high for you. Thanks again. And I will talk to you April 1st. Bye for now. Bye.